Is Mike McCarthy to the Chicago Bears gaining steam? We're going to dive into that in the Bears coaching search as a whole. Coming up here on Chicago Bears Now, my name is Harrison Graham. Welcome in. I just want to hear from you because I've been getting a lot of DMs. Mike McCarthy sucks. He's this, he's that. Well, we do need a plan B if Ben Johnson doesn't work out. So who is that for you? If the Bears don't get Ben Johnson, who do you want? And yeah, it could be easy to say there is no plan B. Well, there better be. This is the Bears, and we don't know how this is going to play out. Let me know who that is. If it's not Ben, who is it? The latest on Mike McCarthy is this. He is set to interview with the Bears tomorrow at Halas Hall, which is certainly notable. And according to reports, he's also got an interview lined up with the Saints early next week, which is kind of interesting timing, like middle of the week this week for one, early next week. Maybe there's a travel issue there for him and his family. Who knows? Obviously, he's got to get his situation out of Dallas family-wise fully resolved, so maybe that's playing a role, or maybe the Saints' interview schedule is playing a role. We'll see if we find out more about that, but kind of a wide gap between interviews for him. The noteworthy part is this, that he's doing the interview at Halas Hall. Why? Well, all first interviews in this process, including Mike Vrabel, by the way, have been virtual. I think even Thomas Brown did his virtually, which feels incredibly stupid. Like he has an office in the building until he doesn't, but maybe flew back to Charlotte with his family. Who knows? Only Ron Rivera has interviewed in person, and it's widely speculated, believed, that he's not a realistic option to get the head coaching gig, that's more of a Rooney Rule situation, as they have to bring in two minority candidates in person to interview. Mike McCarthy, not a Rooney Rule candidate, so to bring him into the building without a first virtual interview, Bill Zimmerman kind of has come to the conclusion, and he's fairly tapped in with this stuff, WC Gridiron, that basically he's just a finalist right out of the chute. And I know there's opinions on that. I actually don't have a problem with it. I think if you narrow down your finalists to a top 5, top 4, I would have McCarthy in there. I ranked the Bears coaching candidates from worst to first on a video earlier today. Check that out. I had him in the top 5, so I really don't have an issue. I don't think he's a guy who needs to prove himself over 2, 3, 4 interviews. Like, you interview him in person once. If you feel good, maybe there's a follow-up down the road, depending on where things sit with Ben Johnson. But yeah, I think that's fair to say that if things go well tomorrow, he could be the guy. Like that's a very, very real possibility that Mike McCarthy is already viewed very highly by the Bears brass, and I think we knew that because they requested to interview him very early on in the process on Black Monday, I think it was, and the Cowboys initially declined that request. Obviously, they have since let go of McCarthy, so now he is going to interview, but I don't think it's outrageous to say that he's firmly in the mix unless he bombs at Halas Hall tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel because we're going to continue to cover this storyline, all updates on the Bears coaching search on a daily basis with the latest news, rumors that are out there, hot board lists if new names emerge, which based on what they've done so far, there probably will be some new names that still emerge, updates, everything in between. Subscribe, turn on notifications, more Bears content to come. Here's what I don't want to happen. And you guys know I'm higher on McCarthy than I think most Bears fans. I think he's proven. I think the floor is insanely elevated with him. He knows this division. He's won with 2 teams. I think he deserves a lot of credit, and I think he gets way too much hate as a coach. But I will say this. I don't think he's in such a good enough tier at this point in his career that you should rush to hire him and not wait out the Ben Johnson situation. If you think you're firmly in the mix to get Ben Johnson, unless you get some kind of indication from his camp or just sources you talk to as an organization that you're not going to get him or there's very little chance you're going to get him, so you don't want to wait him out and miss out on somebody, you need to wait it out because Ben Johnson, to me, is by far the top candidate available. I like Mike McCarthy. If they end up with Mike McCarthy, I'll be I'll be more than fine with it. I won't be like doing jumping jacks, but like I'll be happy with it. It'll be like a B plus hire to me. But if you do it without even exploring the possibility of a second interview with Johnson and the chance of getting him here, I think that part of it is a mistake. And I think that's where the timeline and how this all comes together is important, and that's what I want to talk about here. So the Lions play this Saturday night against the Washington Commanders. If they win that football game, he cannot talk with the team until Monday, January 27th at the earliest. That is 13 days away from now. That is 9 days away from their playoff game. So if they beat Washington, who they're 10-point favorites against, pretty good chance they're going to win, you do not have access to him for another 9 days. So sometimes you see this in these cycles, these high-level assistants that are candidates but go deep into the playoffs. Some teams just budge. They say, you know what, we're going to go with someone else. Like, we'll just hire Liam Cohen, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. I like Mike McCarthy. I think he'd be a good coach here. But I think you have to be patient. I think you have to play this out and see if you can get Ben Johnson. Now, again, if there's some indicator you get from his camp that you're not going to get him, like, hey, we're either going to go to the Raiders or stay in Detroit, so don't wait us out. And there could be some agent communication that happens there, but they cannot talk to Ben until Monday the 27th if they win on Saturday. So I think if you want to feel great about your chances, you should be rooting for the Commanders on Saturday, because otherwise you got to be really patient. And are the Bears going to be? I hope they will, but you just don't know. You don't know how they're going to operate. Today's show is sponsored by Mando. I love Mando's products, and you fellas will as well. I've been talking about the whole body deodorant at this point for a long time, and it is safe to use anywhere on your body, your pitch, your balls, your thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and feet, and everywhere in between. I personally like the Invisible Cream deodorant the best out of all their products. It is a very useful product that they have. Very comfortable when you rub it on your skin. Nothing that is going to make you itch or anything like that. Very smooth product there. And Mando as a whole is clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours, and it's better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's Grundle odor level is a 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average Grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10. It'll stop odor before it starts with Mando, as all of their products are baking soda-free and paraben-free as well. Do you want to try America's #1 whole-body deodorant formula right now? You can now find them in Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. For the best deals, go to shopmando.com. Use code CHAT to get $5 off the starter pack, which is the best bang for your buck. Mando is available in 4 cologne quality scents as well: Bourbon Leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and Clover Woods. Their starter pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with the solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Again, that's $5 off the starter pack with code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Get $5 off. That's 40% off the starter pack. Support the show. Use our link at promo code. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Okay, who's interviewing next? Mike McCarthy. He's tomorrow. We know that. As I'm filming this at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday night, no interviews have been announced today. Maybe they got someone tonight, but this will be the second day since this started that they have not at least publicly announced an interview. Last Friday, they didn't announce one either, although it sounds like Matt Campbell may have interviewed that day. These are some names to keep an eye on in the coming days. Todd Monken, all the guys who played Coach Wildcard Weekend, win or lose, they can do their first virtual interviews this week. So like Todd Monken with the Ravens, Joe Brady with the Bills. I'm very interested in both of those guys. Brian Flores with the Vikings. I saw a tweet a second ago. He's interviewing with the Jets or the Jags, Jets or Jags, one of them on Friday. Arthur Smith, but they have requested. Vance Joseph is another one that Dan Wiederer says is in the mix, so keep an eye there. David Shaw, gross, but he could interview this week. They're both out, by the way, so you can more ramp up with guys who are out. Adam Stenovich, yes, Luke Getsy 2.0. And then Cliff Kingsbury. I do want to make this note on Cliff. There's a couple reports out there. I know Josina's been on this, that he may or may not take interviews. He's been kind of public about, I want to be a head coach again, but I'm also really enjoying coaching Jaden, being in Washington under Dan Quinn. I think he'll do one or two. I hope the Bears do get an interview with him, but I kind of think, and I did a head coach predictions video on my other channel, 4 Verts, I don't have him getting a job. I think he's going to stay in Washington for another year and just kind of slow play this, and when he's ready to jump back in, he will jump back in. What about Marcus Freeman? Well, he's not going to take an interview before the national championship game, nor should he. This is the biggest game of his life and potentially the biggest game he will ever coach in. So doing an interview with the Chicago Bears would be silly right now, but the reports have been that they are interested in him. The earliest he could interview would be the 21st. I would guess more likely would be like the 22nd, day after the Natty. I don't know if that's reasonable, but keep an eye on that. National Championships on Monday, the 20th, so maybe like next Wednesday, next Thursday, assuming they have not hired a head coach and he wants to interview. I would expect that interview to take place. I think it's too risky to hire him. I do think this is a good one, though. Talk to him, interview him, and just kind of build that kind of groundwork as a franchise because he's 39 years old. Hell, he could be your head coach 12 years from now, right? Who knows? Get that relationship started. I think he's a guy who could absolutely take the jump to the NFL at some point in the future. I don't think he'll do it now. I don't think he should do it now. I don't think the Bears should, go out of their way to get him to jump now. I think there's other more qualified candidates, but I do like the idea of kind of just touching base, start that relationship, and, who knows? He could be the coach after your current coach, which hopefully is a guy who's here for quite a while because that means you have had success. Okay, pick a coach. Who would you rather have right now, Marcus Freeman or Mike McCarthy? I don't know. Why did I do H for Freeman, Colin? HF, maybe I'm a little dyslexic today. I'm not sure. H or F for Freeman. Geez, I'm just a mess. M for McCarthy. You guys let me know. Type F so I don't feel like an idiot. F for Freeman, M for McCarthy. I would take McCarthy right now, but I think down the road, Freeman could be a really, really good NFL head coach. All right, quick little note here. I don't really know what to make of this. Some of you guys were messaging in the live chat yesterday about it, so I went and read what Brad Biggs wrote and listened to him. He was on The Score talking about this. I guess some of the Zoom interviews, or I guess all of them, that the setup is kind of like they talk to Ryan Poles and maybe all of them at once, but then it's just Poles individually, and then he hops off, and the candidate also talks with Kevin Warren and George McCaskey separately without Poles on there, which I don't know what to make of that. Like, what are they talking about those things? Is that like I can't imagine that's hey, if you don't like Ryan Poles, let us know. And, that just feels weird to me. But maybe that's more of like, hey, we'll talk to you about the business side of the operation, the power structure, whatever. Where are we at with the stadium? That's more of a Kevin George situation, I guess. I'm not going to make too much of it, but it does just feel very Bearsy to complicate a situation. Like, to me, if I were doing these interviews, like if I was in charge and if I was George and I was conducting these interviews and running the thing, I would say, hey, Ryan, you're going to interview these guys alone, and then Kevin and I will join you at the very end, and if they have any non-football questions, they can ask then, but we're not really going to go super in depth. This is about the football. This is about getting the right head coach. That's how I would do it, but it seems like they could be overcomplicating it. Again, I don't know what questions are being asked during that time. It just feels weird. And again, it's kind of like how they've requested 20-plus people at this point. The word I keep using is unnecessary. Is it necessarily bad or a disaster? I think that's unfair to say, but it's also fair to question everything they do because they've been so bad in the past at ending up in a good conclusion. So I think being skeptical and calling it unnecessary is completely inbound. So that is the word I will use. Okay, that'll do it. Chicago Bears now. We're back tomorrow. More content to come. If any storylines come out of Halas Hall from the McCarthy interview tomorrow, we, of course, will cover that and everything else surrounding this football team. I'm Harrison Graham. Until then, bear down.